An elderly woman found a billionaire CEO bitten by a venomous snake. Upon touching the swelling around the wound, she immediately realized that it was a deadly poison. To save the CEO's life, she quickly sucked out the poisonous blood. Watching the elderly woman's actions, the CEO suddenly recalled a childhood memory when he was bitten by a venomous snake, and his mother had done the same to save him. He instantly realized that this kind-hearted elderly scavenger could very well be the biological mother he had been searching for over 20 years. It turned out that 20 years ago, the CEO was born blind, but to give him the chance to see, his mother willingly donated one of her eyes. The young boy was so grateful that he knelt and bowed to his mother. However, on their way home that day, the elderly woman saw a group of thugs bullying a little beggar. She immediately stepped in to stop them, but was pushed down by the thugs, injuring her other eye. From then on, the elderly woman became completely blind. Seeing that the elderly woman had lost her sight to save him, the little beggar knelt before her in gratitude. Thus, the little beggar became her adopted son and lived in her home. One day, the elderly woman gathered her 3 children, and told them that the family's money could only send one of them to school. They had to decide among themselves who would go to school and who would work. The younger sister felt that her older brother was good at studying, so she gave up her chance for him. But the adopted son saw all of this because he also wanted to go to school. He didn't want to continue living a life of scavenging and being bullied. One day, the adopted son was lying on the ground, slacking off, when he suddenly saw the older brother being abducted by a group of thugs. Instead of calling for help, he prevented the blind adoptive mother from searching for her son, and so, the mother and son were separated for 20 years. 20 years later, the adoptive mother married off her daughter to the adopted son, who soon became pregnant. But the grown-up adopted son had a very bad temper. At the slightest displeasure, he would kick his wife out of the car. One day, after being kicked out, the pregnant daughter saw her mother on the roadside. She immediately urged her mother to leave quickly, but the adopted son saw her nonetheless. The adopted son asked the mother what she was doing there and told her to hurry home. It turned out that the adopted son was now a high-ranking executive at a publicly traded company, and was afraid that his colleagues would mock him for having a blind mother. Even though the mother came specifically to bring them some red dates, the adopted son was ungrateful and threw away the red dates she had painstakingly collected by scavenging. The mother knew the adopted son was angry and quickly apologized, then fumbled her way home. On the way, she happened to find the CEO who had been bitten by a venomous snake, but she didn't know that the CEO was actually the son she lost years ago. The CEO also didn't recognize that the elderly woman who saved him was the mother he had been searching for. Thanks to his mother, the CEO safely made it to the hospital. After injecting the anti-venom, the doctor told the CEO that if the poisonous blood hadn't been sucked out in time, his life would have been in danger. Hearing the doctor's words, the CEO immediately sent his assistant to find the woman who had saved his life. A few days later, the elderly woman, using a cane, came to the city to find her daughter, but was scolded by her daughter, who told her not to come looking for them unless it was necessary. The daughter didn't know that the mother had come this time, because their old house was about to be demolished. She planned to withdraw the demolition compensation and give it to her daughter for safekeeping, and specifically instructed her daughter not to let the adopted son know, as she wanted her daughter to have a final safeguard.